Hello, it's Billy from Insanity Samples, and today we're checking out Haunted Strings 2 and all that is new in the version 2.5 update. Okay, so Haunted Strings 2 is a chamber ensemble strings library where everyone moved the air at the same time, from the glistening high strings all the way down to the low contrabass. Everyone was in the same room, organized in a really interesting, unique way of violins on the outsides, then cello, then double bass, and then violin again in the middle, creating a circular, sonically equal space that is really beautiful and works very well for scoring to picture, for example. Included within the library is a plethora of textures, from sweeping and beautiful sounds all the way to really quite sinister, eerie, dark and tense, horror-inspired textures, all within one really powerful library. In the version 2.5 update, it has the most recent and powerful version of our overlay functionality that allows you to blend any texture you want across the entire velocity spectrum, broken up into 8 separate chunks across the entire velocity spectrum. So as you can see from the interface, we have what is becoming standardized with our central overlay functionality front and center, as well as levels for every individual articulation, because these are stackable with one another, because it's an ensemble library. You can create your own volume mix within the actual sound that you've created, stacking everything up and then changing volume levels from within. We can switch over to key switching that allows you just to go through one sound at a time here. That's how we'll explore each one of these sounds in the demo, though the best use case for these instruments, and arguably for all of our instruments at this point that has this functionality, is to go into overlaying, choose the sounds you want, and carve in a sound that works for you. So maybe you just want that central column that has eerie longs, twisted soul points, drunk wide vib, and then everything else around that, left and right, can be eerie longs, or perhaps we can have the tremolo soul points coming in at the bottom end of the sound. Really, the only limit here is your imagination on what you can achieve with this sound. So let's go back to key switching and let's go through one at a time. So up first is the eerie longs. I'm using an expression pedal on my foot here to deal with dynamic changes, though of course you can use your mod wheel. You can right click either of these dials or both, and you can assign it to any external slider and fader that you want to use to make your music. Okay, so I'm using the eerie longs here. Here in that kind of full-bodied area there, using lots of modulation, you get such a rich and warm, lovely sound. However, using quiet and delicate dynamics and high pitches and maybe cluster chords, you really get into that area of eeriness. So versatile, it's really beautiful. Okay, on to the twisted sol pont. So here we're at the sol ponticello end of the instrument, and we are getting all of those lovely overtones bubbling up throughout the sound of the strings. Notice is that because we're at the sol pont end of the instrument, we're losing a lot of that low end, so we're getting that glistening, beautiful presence, and what allows it to be kind of like tinny and metallic and strange sounding. But if we want to get the sound of a kind of warm, round string section with just a little bit of that kind of creeping eeriness, then a good idea is to click into overlaying and turn on the eerie-longs as well, and use both in conjunction with one another. Very cool. Okay, back to our key switching and onto drunken wide vib. You can really hear the interactions because of all those musicians in the room effectively playing to their own tune here, just on the same singular note, but using that beautiful wide vibrato at their own liberty, however they want to, as a collective, and it just really creates a chaotic, beautiful sense of mystery. Again, you can blend those things in with the eerie-longs and the twisted sol ponts and just have a little bit of that poking its head through the mix just to add some more unease to the overall sound. Okay, trem sol pont. Very cool. Erratic trem sol pont. Another beautiful texture there. Onto staccatissimo. Awesome, really powerful. Adds a great sense of movement to whatever you're working on. Okay, ricochet. Oh, what a texture. Again, we're getting all of those players working in tandem to create that bowing as it bounces across the strings. Very cool. Okay, Colegno, where we're using the back of the bow to hit the string with the wood. such an interesting sound when used in the higher ranges. Because it's such a short sound, that reverb is really enveloping the overall sound. So let's just switch to the wooden room reverb, which is a really beautiful but very light touch, delicate reverb in this instrument. Awesome. Okay, on to the Psycho Screams. This is the kind of Herrmann-esque, inspired by the great himself, Bernard Herrmann, sound in this library. And we're getting the rips up to the actual root note. We're thinking, obviously, Psycho. It's right there. But the unique element of this is that we've got the entire range on offer. We can go all the way down to our lows. So it's a super cool sound, not just used for those high glistening strings that really rip through the sound, but also on the low, more textural, more resonant sounds as well. Okay, so as already previously mentioned, we can jump into our performance mode, which will make use of multiple sounds at once with the Erie Longs, Twitter Solponts, Trem Solpont and Staccatissimo all being used here. The beauty of this particular sound is we can get chords. When playing softly, we can get away from having that hard attack. When we play hard, we can get those staccattissimos. So we don't need to change key switching. We can hold a chord down and access staccattissimos, which you would have heard in the intro to this video as well. Excellent when in use with the expression and dynamics as well. Access everything all at once there, which is just such a useful, powerful thing to have right at the tip of your fingers. Okay, performance mode 2 makes use of the staccatissimo, ricochet, colegnos and psycho screams. It's a lot more aggressive, of course. So we just have all the shorts on access there. Of course, these are just starting points. You build your own sound based on what you want to hear from the overlay threshold capabilities and save your own snapshots. And then you have a whole plethora of your own performance modes. These are just two things to get the cogs moving and get you to understand how these things actually function. If we head back to key switching and just have Erie Longs and then go to chord mode 1, you see that what changes here is we get access to major, minor, diminished, augmented, suspended, and power chords. They're all color-coded and they're all based around an octave of the instrument, from the lowest octave up to the highest octave. So majors, I'm going to use the expression pedal here. Big, large, arranged chords for the entire ensemble. We then head on to minor. Diminished. Augmented. Kind of Petrushka sound coming through there with the sharp fours happening. Okay, suspended. And power chords. Moving between those is your way of getting different chord arrangements on the go. chord mode 2, we get some more extended capabilities of the harmonies. We get major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, diminished 7, major minor 7 chords, and clusters. Really beautiful. So much scope and possibility there for different harmonic arrangements. Okay, clicking that off will bring you back to the simple version of the instrument where you can build your own chords and play your own melodies. Okay, onto the treatment page. Here we have an attack, decay, sustain, and release envelope for the overall instrument. Other than shorts, this deals with longs only. And then the fear, glitch, and pitch controls. This is quite unique to this instrument and introduces an element of chaos to the overall sound. So on top of the eerie longs here, if I dial in fear, we're going to get an extended effects technique dialed in. And horrific at the same time, adding in some real fear and chaos into your piece. Glitch is a fast moving random LFO that creates a glitching sound in your string structure. Great for creating really broken and chaotic sounds. Then pitch is a simple pitch modulation. Made extreme there for example's sake, but if you deal in just a little bit and play some of these high whispery textures. Get a real sense of eeriness and horror creeping into the sound there. Then finally a cutoff with a frequency and resonance. Just to add further nuance to your sound and to create some more sound designed interesting elements if required. On the effects section, we have distortion, chorus, delay, and reverb with a series of convolutions to choose from. So pretty standard effects setup. Okay, let's jump into part 2 of this instrument, which is the performance effects. So the performance effects are a series of pre-recorded chaotic and crazy sounds that can be made with this ensemble. So we've got all of the strings playing in unison, doing crazy things like playing behind the bridge onto that tiny little section of strings that lives there and creating all of those overtones and chaotic sounds that can come from that. Chatter chaos is just everyone going mad wherever they want on their instrument and creating a sense of complete and utter chaos with no harmony. It's just living as a sound, completely away from any sort of musicality, which is just a very interesting sound indeed. Then we have the scratch risers, the stabs, and the string glisses. So let's go through these. Everything in red is the recorded pitch of that sample, and then everything else is kind of a pitch time altered variant of that. Madness, it's bedlam, I love it. If we do that down an octave or even 2 octaves, we get some really crazy sounds. Truly fear-inducing, it's very cool. Okay, chatter chaos. it. I love it so much. Okay, now the scratch riser. Here everyone's really digging their bow in so hard that it's creating this really aggressive scratching sound whilst also creating a riser in pitch on the instrument. This goes both up and down in pitch variation to get some modulation on the overall sound. Next up is the stabs. A series of really aggressive chunking stabs that happen across the entire ensemble. String gliss is set up into 4 different parameters, the lowest, first, second, third and fourth string effectively of the instrument, all creating big glissandos that are just sliding up the entire string from lowest to highest pitch, and everyone simply moving in effective unison, getting from the lowest to the highest in a crescendo type fashion with slow and fast variations. Some really chaotic, awesome sounds there. Okay, that is the effects section of the instrument. Again, there is post effects to be used here as well, distortion, chorus, delay, and reverb as before, along with the main body of the instrument with all of those wonderful articulations on offer as well. Okay, that has been a deep dive look at the Haunted Strings 2 and all that's new in the version 2.5 update. Head to Insanity Samples now to grab your copy of this standalone, crazy little chamber string library. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.